Alright, so here's the latest volume of One Piece, at least in English. I know in Japan they're like a few volumes ahead, but yeah, I found this one about a week ago on Barnes & Noble. And I've noticed that Barnes & Noble tends to put these out in stores a few weeks before their release date. Like I found this in the middle of June and their release date is like July 6th or 7th. It even says so on the Barnes & Noble site. Like if you try to order this right now before July 6th, it says it's a pre-order releasing on July 6th, but if you go in the store, you might be able to just buy it there a few weeks early. So yeah, volume 112, and I did pay full price for this. The thing I like about Barnes & Noble is that I could look through like so many copies of whatever volume it happens to be and pick the best looking one. So yeah, even though it could be found cheaper if I shopped around, I just figured I'd get it now and pick a really nice looking volume. So for me, that is a big upside to buying from Barnes & Noble. Maybe I'll look into their membership. It's like $40 a year, so I think I'd have to buy a good amount of stuff there for that to even be worth it, but for me, it's a much better experience than buying online from Amazon or somewhere else where they put no care into packaging, because then I'm always worrying about them coming damaged, and they almost always do because they just put them in those bags. So even though they may be cheaper most of the time, I just love being able to go into a store and pick up the actual volume and being able to see it before I buy it. And that actually saved me from buying volume 108 too early, because when that one released, and I'll never stop talking about this, I think I mention this every time I talk about One Piece manga, but when volume 108 released, I was going to buy it. I went to Barnes & Noble and they had a whole bunch of them. I looked through like all 15 or 20 copies and they all had terrible printing in them. So I waited about a year and I finally bought it when I finally found one that didn't have any of those printing errors. So that's another thing I love about buying manga in person. It's just such a better experience. The one thing that does annoy me about Barnes & Noble is that they put these like little security things inside of their manga. Let's get the one out of this one right now. And I always worry it's gonna tear the pages, so that's one reason I would avoid buying from Barnes & Noble sometimes. But now I'm kind of leaning more into it because I'm just sick of Amazon. I'm sick of ordering everything from sites like Amazon, and even though I say that, I'm sure I will order from them again in the future. So whatever. But yeah, let's get this thing off. It looks like this one isn't too stuck on there, but I have seen some that look like they'd be pretty hard to get off, and that stopped me from buying books before, though yeah, you could probably just heat it up a little bit and that might make it easier. But I still hate that they even put these things on there. Thankfully this one came off super easily. So yep, this is the first volume of Elbaf. You can see it says Elbaf on the spine right there, and then over here we have all of Egghead. So Egghead starts right here in volume 105 that has the little Wano banner on it, and then it's the same thing for Egghead and Elbaf. Volume 111 is the last volume of Egghead and also the first volume of Elbaf. Let's see where Elbaf starts inside of this volume. Where exactly does it start? Alright, so they're leaving Egghead pretty early on in this volume. They're already eating or drinking with the giants on the ship, and then right over here we have Nami at Elbaf, so about that much of it. And yeah, let's look at the next one. So the cover art on this one is pretty interesting. I like how they're all in a circle, and then we can see Robin on Saul's face there, and then Luffy's kind of wrapping his arms around both ways. And here's Robin reuniting with Saul. I think the main part of that already happened. Was that in the end of volume 111 maybe? Let's see. Okay, yeah, it's at the end of volume 111. And I really enjoyed that episode of the anime too. I didn't expect them to make a whole song for it. But yeah, that was great. And then let's see what else we have in volume 112. Oh yeah, there's this illustration where they're on the giant Frankie, and this one's been made into a figure, so it's very recognizable. They made this into a WCF figure. Let's see, where is Loki? Got Shamrock and Gunko there. The owl. Loki being attacked. And yeah, I just saw this episode. This was the latest episode at the time of recording this. And yeah, he said he wants to fight Shamrock. I think Shamrock says like to come and fight him if he survives. Yeah, Shamrock says it to Loki right here. And I'd kind of forgot that until I watched the anime episode. Poor Loki. So yeah, I hope that happens at some point. I want to see Loki beat Shamrock. And then we have Ripley there. And yeah, this was where the episode ended. And when does Loki finally stand up? Let's see. Alright, there we go. And then all those nightmare beasts come out. But yeah, I can't wait to see how they animate that panel, because I really love it, this panel right here. And they have been doing a pretty good job with the anime lately, so yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how that is animated. Yep, the Nightmare Beast again, and what's here? And I've always loved this one, Skeleton. What's he called? I forget what this one's called. And right here is where it ends. Alright, let's stack it up and complete my One Piece manga collection again until volume 113 comes out.